In one weekend, we'll turn a pretty basic sitting room with a pretty basic ceiling into anything but basic. A two-tone custom wood ceiling transforms this space into a stylish game parlor. First, we'll level all the way around and then start building the grid for the ceiling. Pop in some beautiful birch wood panels. And finally, brighten things up with a pendant lamp. That's all coming your way on Weekend Handyman. Welcome to Weekend Handyman. I'm Paul Ryan. This is one beautiful kitchen. You've got the cherry cabinets, granite countertops, really nice hardwood floors, a lot of architectural detail. But you know, sometimes kitchens get all the attention, and the rest of the rooms of the house, they sort of lack that same pizzazz. Now take this room. There's nothing wrong with it, there's just not a lot going on in here. You got plain walls and a plain ceiling. We are going to change all that by putting in a custom wood ceiling that's really going to warm this room up and make it look anything but ordinary. Now we've got 2 full days of work ahead of us, but the beauty of the ceiling is it's very simple to install. So we're going to rate this project a 2 on our Weekend Handyman difficulty scale. From the toolbox, we'll need a 360-degree laser level, a stud finder, an impulse nailer, a compound miter saw, a fine-tooth pole saw, needle nose pliers, and a cordless drill. For materials, we'll just need some lag screws, nails, and some wire. Everything else is included in the ceiling kit. Let's talk about the ceiling system we'll be installing. It's basically a drop ceiling, a grid and panel system. We'll install the grid, which consists of these long pieces and these short connecting pieces. That grid will support these 2-foot by 2-foot panels. We got our ceiling from a company called Fifth Wall Designs, although there are a number of other companies that manufacture drop ceilings. The panels we chose are made of MDF with a birch veneer. The grid is maple with a nutmeg stain, and you can see how this light and dark contrast will really warm up the room. Now the grids and the panels come in virtually any type of wood, so depending on what you choose, you can achieve a really unique look. There's a couple things that you need to do to pre-plan for a project like this. First thing you need to do, figure out the dimensions of your room so you get enough material. Now, we've got a straight up rectangle, no funky angles to deal with. And that's going to determine how you install your grid. We are all cleared out and we've got plenty of space to work now. Once again, helping us out is our friend and carpenter Beth. How's it going, Beth?
Pretty good, Paul.
Good. Well, the first thing we need to do is determine how far down from the ceiling we need to put our grid. Typically with the drop ceiling, you want to come down at least 3 inches so you've got enough room to slide those panels up there. Now the only area in the room we've got to worry about is right here. We don't want to come any further than here because there's no wall. So what we'll do is we'll come down about 4 1/4 inches, go ahead and make a line, and then we'll come back with a laser and we'll level the room. We're using a 360-degree laser level set on a stand. We'll adjust the laser to the proper height, 4 1/4 inches down. That's our reference line. This laser will give us a level line around the perimeter of the room. Next, we'll mark our laser line every couple of feet.
Our laser level can wobble up and down when people are walking around the room. So make reference marks along the wall to ensure you're still level.
Now we know exactly where our grid will go. Well, we have to attach that grid to something, and that something will be this 1x pine. We'll install this all the way around the perimeter of the room, just above our reference lines, and that's where we'll nail the grid to. Now, the 1x pine has to be attached to something, and that something would be the wall studs. So, we'll use a stud finder, find the studs, and put the pine up. We'll take the first piece of pine frame and mark it on the center of the stud. Using a compound miter saw, we'll cut the pine frame to size. Then we'll hold the pine frame just above the reference line. Now we'll fasten it to the studs with an impulse nailer. We'll keep working our way around the perimeter of the room. Hi, Beth, take it away. Now, if you're thinking about a drop ceiling in your house, head to our website for some great information. It's DIYnetwork.com. When we come back, we'll find the center of the room, snap a chalk line, and start installing our measuring and cutting to do. Our wood ceiling begins to take shape when Weekend Handyman returns. Welcome back to Weekend Handyman, where we just finished installing the perimeter support for our custom wood ceiling. So far, we're about 3 hours into this project that rates a 2 on our Weekend Handyman difficulty scale. We are set to start installing the grid, but first we need to find our ceiling joist because we need something to attach the grid to. Now, we've used our stud finder once on the walls, now we're going to use it on the ceiling. These ceiling trusses are spaced at a standard 24 inches apart. We'll mark them on either side of the room and then snap our chalk lines. The light fixture in this room is right in the center, and we want that light fixture centered on one of our panels. So we're going to start building our grid from the center out. We'll measure 1 foot on each side, start with 2 long pieces of grid, and just build from there. We'll first measure the width of the ceiling. All right, let's see what kind of room they built here.
All right. I have 136.
136, I took my math, that's 68.
Good job.
Thank you. Go ahead and measure a foot off of each side of that. Good there?
Yep.
Then we'll measure the length of the ceiling. This determines the length for our first long grid. We'll cut the grid to size. Then with a fine-tooth pole saw, we'll create a new notch so the grid will sit flush with the wall.
Measure and cut each grid member one at a time. The room might not be square, so if you cut them all at the same length, you might end up short.
With our grid cut, we'll position it in place right below the pine frame. How's it look, Beth?
I think we're good.
Then we'll just toenail it into the support. Beth fastens the grid on the other side.
We're good.
To determine the spacing for the next grid, we'll place a short grid along the wall and fasten it with a few more nails. Now the next long grid slides right into place. Hey, nice fit.
When setting the grid pieces into place, make sure all edges and surfaces are flush before nailing in place. Our long grid pieces are attached on both ends, but remember, this is a relatively heavy ceiling, so we need support throughout the entire grid system to eliminate any sagging. Remember, we marked these cross members earlier, and we'll take these specially designed lag screws and we'll put them right into those cross members. Once they're in place, we'll take some wire, attach the grid to that screw, and no more sagging. Also, this is a pretty slick little bit. It's made specifically for these lag screws. The screw slides into the bit slides into a drill. No hand tightening with these. It'll make our lives a lot easier. We'll fasten the lag screws into the ceiling trusses. We'll need around 3 per grid for enough support. Next, we'll drill into the fin of the grid. Cut the wire, and then we'll loop the wire through the eye hook and the fin, and then loosely twist it together. We'll come back later to adjust the wires and level the grids. Beth, we've made a pretty good start.
Yeah, I'll trade you.
Thank you. Couple down, couple dozen to go. When we come back, we'll make sure our long grids are perfectly level. Then we'll start on the short grids. Metal connectors lock them into place. Things are looking up. That's all coming your way when Weekend Handyman returns. Welcome back to Weekend Handyman. I'm Paul Ryan. We're just starting day 2 of our project, installing a wood ceiling. Now, this is a brand new house. New construction's got all the amenities, but sometimes new construction lacks a little bit of character. Well, we're changing all that today by creating a one-of-a-kind room. When we started, this ceiling was ho-hum plain. So we went to work, first putting up the pine frame around the perimeter of the room, and then fastening the long maple grids to the ceiling. It might not look like a big change yet, but we are well on our way. So far, we have about 8 hours into this project that we're rating a 2 on our Weekend Handyman difficulty scale.
As you can see, our long grid pieces are up and they're just loosely fastened with wire, and we have to come back and level them. Now, we know the perimeter of the room is level, but the center of the room, that's another story. Remember, we've got these panels going up here, and each one of these panels weighs about 8 pounds. So, got a little bit of a sagging situation here. We have to accommodate for the weight of the panels as we level. And we're going to be using a weight. You can use whatever weight you want. We just happen to be using these workout weights. They have Velcro on them, so they'll stay on the grid. And a couple of these are about the same weight as one panel, so it'll make leveling very simple. Helping us out today is our friend Greg, and Greg, got the level?
Yep.
All right, I'll slide these down for you.
We'll start by setting our laser level on the base of the grid perimeter. We know that the perimeter is level all the way around.
A little high?
A little bit higher.
Okay. Looks good.
We'll raise the grid and adjust, and keep on adjusting the wire to match the laser level line. Then we'll give the wire a twist to securely fasten it.
When leveling your grids, start from the center of your laser level and work your way out, otherwise you can't see your laser line.
We can keep our weights in the same spot for all 3 adjustments. It helps to have both of us working on the same grid at the same time. It speeds things up and it's easier to make it level.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's move on. Our long grid pieces are level, secure, and we're ready to complete the grid by putting in these short pieces. Now what we'll do is start from the center of the room and work our way out. That way we'll have an even layout throughout the entire room. No little tile slivers on each side. Now to start the process, we'll take one of these short grid pieces. I've marked the center of the room. We'll take the center of this grid piece, line it up with that mark, attach it, and build the grid out from there.
First, we'll find the center of the short grid piece. Then we'll place it on the center of the wall and nail it in place. Now we're almost ready to start building our grid out from the wall. We'll take a measurement for the first piece and then cut it to size. Like before, we'll use a fine-tooth pole saw to cut out a new notch.
Okay, got another short grid piece up and we are ready to start building.
Here you go.
Thanks, Greg. Now we're going to start building the grid from this side out. And we want to make sure that all those grid pieces are nice and straight. We don't want them to zigzag back and forth. So we need to line this edge up with this edge over here. Thanks.
To line up the edges, you can use a piece of string pulled taut instead of a laser level. It's cheap and it works.
We can't just put our small grid pieces on right now because they would slide back and forth. So we need to use these grid connectors. And what we'll do is line these up right with our string line and snap them into place.
Once they're on, they're not coming off. We'll position the first grid into place. Nice fit. The rest of the grids come already cut to size, and they're a real snap to install.
Thanks.
This is kind of like putting a puzzle together, not to mention that the work goes really fast. I like that.
Well, this is looking great. Now, if you want some more information on how to install your own wood ceiling, head to our website. It's DIYnetwork.com.
When we come back, our wood ceiling puzzle is really fitting together. The ceiling design comes to life with a combination of flush and recessed panels. And we tackle the new light fixture. But first, the panel needs to be custom cut. That's all straight ahead when Weekend Handyman returns.
Welcome back to Weekend Handyman, where we are in the final stages of installing our wood drop ceiling. So far, we're about 12 hours into this project that rates a 2 on our Weekend Handyman difficulty scale. Now, right now, we've got a really nice looking grid, but it is missing something, and that something is these panels.